Peaceful PLC for the win. You can get cores on them later if you conquer the provinces anyway. Interesting. Is he trading away all of his civs? No, he has free civs available. Nope, not anymore. Yeah, now he's building again. But that looks very suspiciously like he hadn't been building anything. And every time I've clicked on Canada, that message has been up there. I just didn't mention it till now, which in itself is a bit suspicious. So, USA, 188 factories. Canada, only 64. Yeah, Kingdom of France is 67. There is no way that Canada's been building anything for this entire game. 123, 212. Hell, even CNTFAI have more factories than Canada. What happened to Hawaii? That's a good question. Hawaii have gone Kingdom. They are in the Co-Pro. So Co-Prosperity Sphere can definitely reach USA now. 100% they can. What happened to Ireland? That's a good question. Puppet, I would assume. Yeah. They were released by the Union of Britain once they were conquered so that they can continue down the ridiculous industrial trees that they've got and develop up some more and then provide Lend-Lease to the Third Internationale. Because Ireland is very good at doing that. Russia declared war on Armenia. This focus seems to be taking a while. Did Argentina balkanize Brazil? They did. First points coming in the game. Reichspakt have won. Third Internationale have won. Yeah, Luftwaffe, I'm thinking the same. I don't want to vocalize it because I don't want to be cruel, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking that. Getting closer. Getting closer. This war is going to heat up with 30 minutes left of this session. I don't know if we're going long. It was talked about earlier that we might do. But also that the Russian player, it's like 3 AM for him. Armenia has capitulated just in time for the real fight. Russia took one state, Armenia has been annexed. And now Russia controls all of the Caucasus before the outbreak of war. So it's going to be interesting because obviously Third Internationale and Reichspakt, they'll be at war. Entente probably will jump in on that because they do get focuses and decisions that allow them to do it. What's going to bring Co-Prosperity into the war, though? India? I have a feeling that Co-Pro might sit on the sidelines for a bit and just watch and see exactly who's winning. Like, if it looks like the Reichspakt is beating, for example, Third Internationale, Russia will probably declare war on Ukraine. If the Entente looks like they get a landing and start taking the Union of Britain, then they'll probably declare war on India. I don't know that they necessarily have the incentive to start anything in the short term. Like, they've taken all of their territories. They're as big as they probably need to be right now. And they can just build up. Like, they have two of the largest industrial potential countries in the game. The only one that they're really missing is India, and here we go, war is declared. And immediately, we have got no movement. CNTFAI just joined the Third International. Game is paused. And at this point, I feel like it's fair if I look at their ships. So, CNTFAI is still training their navy. Fair play to them. And they do have a couple of submarine strike forces. Wait, strike forces? Convoy raiding, okay. France, what's your navy like? 88 submarines, so everyone's going super submarine heavy. And they do have their regular surface fleet. All of those destroyers are looking a bit old. And then the Union of Britain, this should be the interesting one. Divided the submarines correctly, they're not just doom stacking, which is good because submarine task forces, and this is something I didn't realise when I was doing my tutorial, can only cover 1.5 sea zones. So having 2 task forces will cover 3 sea zones. So splitting yourself up like this is a good move. So I already like what I'm seeing here from the Union of Britain. Then their surface fleet. This is a lot of cruisers. What are these guys doing? No admiral. Can't really tell. Then we've got the doom stack of surface fleet, which is a mistake. They have a bunch of destroyers and a couple of cruisers. I wonder if they're going to become recon. Same with these guys. I think it's also a mistake having these, because a recon fleet can only cover one sea zone. So you do want to have more split up recon fleets. But that's not the worst setup I've ever seen.
Hey, just doing a quick pause while everybody calls their allies into war.
Okay.
In 1 minute.
Alright, no worries.
And war can finally start.
Yay! With 25 minutes to go.
To be continued.
To be continued, indeed. Okay, so I was promised that the Tyrant would be a competent naval player, and I am seeing that they have indeed split up their submarines in a pretty interesting manner. They've actually gone for 3 separate fleets, which is interesting, with very small submarine units. I don't think you need to split it quite this much, especially if what you're trying to cover is fairly limited. I guess what they're doing is different theatres. They're going to have like the Northern Theatre, the Central Theatre, and then the Third Theatre, wherever they may be. Then they've got the Naval Invasion Support Fleet, which mostly needs big guns. They do indeed have their capital ships here. They've also gone for the Death Stack, which I always disagree with Death Stacks, and they are still Death Stacking. But that is there, and then they do have a couple of, I assume these are going to be recons. Putting the recons in the same fleet as the Death Stack's not necessary, and I think is a little bit wasteful. You could have like an expert spotter doing that, but also it's not something I'd considered before. No reason not to. So, yeah. I'm much more confident about the German player setup. Oh, hang on. Union of Britain. 14 escorts. Not enough. And using light cruisers as escorts. So for escorting, you actually just want coverage. You want lots of ships as opposed to good ships. So I find this a bit questionable, but we'll see if I'm right or wrong about this. Meanwhile, battle is joined. Immediately, naval engagements throughout the entirety of Britain as convoys get hit by the German submarines. So we're going to see if Britain's escort system works. I'm not convinced. France, meanwhile, no escorts whatsoever. CNTFAI, no escorts whatsoever. Italy hasn't even set up their navy. Alright. Whoa! Naval invasion straight away! So we have some pretty massive naval invasions. I'm not going to click on Germany because I actually saw this earlier. And I don't want to give away where they're going to attack. So we're going to see this from Union of Britain perspective. And we have got German units landing straight away. So we've got some heavy tank units coming in. We've got cavalry units not moving immediately, which is a mistake. They want to be, as soon as they land, boom, moving. Otherwise, they're going to get pinned. I think that the fact that they've landed is taking them a bit by surprise. This is also a schoolboy error by the Union of Britain by not protecting the adjacent provinces to your ports, which you always want to do. So yeah, he's guarding the ports, which is good, but as soon as these guys land, they don't get the landing penalties anymore, and they can attack you straight away. So the fact that these guys aren't doing that yet is a mistake. He's going straight for London. You need to be assisting this attack on the Greater London area, or on Norwich. Get these ports going. There we go. Now the tank's moving. Now we're going to start seeing that. I'll click on Ireland so I don't see all of the messy lines. Why am I seeing all the messy lines? Why am I still seeing them? Have I pressed a button by accident? This is going to make it hard to see what's going on. Hell, why is this happening? Oh, am I in a... I was in a map mode, that's why. Okay, so the attacks in the north have definitely landed. Newcastle, for the moment, is holding out. No ports yet. That's still a problem. But he's pushed out hard and aggressive here. He's got a surround going on Newcastle right now. It's only a 13 defense. He should be able to take that. Union of Britain just doesn't have the troops here. He's managed to knock out the tanks in the southern attack, but I think Scotland is going to be more of a problem. It's unfortunate that Germany didn't realise how successful his initial landings had been and immediately attack out. But he has got a lot of infantry pushing into Newcastle. If Newcastle falls, it's over, because they can just start piling troops in. So, Germany, can I just see where your naval invasion support fleet is? Are they supporting? No, but we do have an enormous naval engagement right now, which is the German death stack. Appropriately screened. The French, definitely not appropriately screened, and getting absolutely annihilated. That wasn't a doom stack, that was lack of screening. Newcastle, oh, they're going to manage it, maybe. Meanwhile, the Union of Britain Navy has appeared. Germany has no fuel. That's not good for Germany. Meanwhile, Union of Britain, also no fuel. That's not good for the Union of Britain. This is how you lose carriers, guys. This is how you lose carriers. Are they going to manage to take Newcastle? Because the Union of Britain are pushing pretty heavily from the south. Rosyth, they're going to lose Rosyth. If they lose either, like, losing either is going to be really bad. They might lose ships on the passage, depending on how good their escort is. There we go. Boom. Rosyth has fallen. That is a port. The the Reichspakt is in. Now they just need to hold that, that, and that. Because if you're being attacked when you're in the port, then you will arrive. When your transports arrive in the port, you arrive with zero organization. If an enemy is attacking you while you're in the port, you will basically instantly die, because you have no organization. So you basically need to defend the provinces around it to make sure that the enemy cannot directly attack the port. And then from there, you can start pushing your troops out, and they will regain organization as they're moving. So it's absolutely critical that they hold on to these three provinces. Otherwise, this naval invasion can still fail. Meanwhile, the Union of Britain is pushing north from here. We've got CNT armies arriving en masse. We've got French armies arriving en masse. There's a huge amount of naval engagement going on in the English Channel. I think that the Germans probably anticipated that the French and the Spanish would be sending reinforcements, and they have absolutely filled the English Channel with submarines, which are catching the convoys as they're trying to cross with the units. So what the French and the Spanish probably want to do is disable the English Channel and then either push them around this way or through here, just because it's a heck of a lot safer. Then again, if you want to use your transports as bait in order to sink the German submarines, then please do go through the English Channel. It is a shallow sea. Submarines are easily spotted and easily sunk. So it kind of depends on whether you want to risk your transports or not. Meanwhile, the Germans are continuing to secure more of Scotland, and they still only have the one port. They've got to hold on to that. What would be absolutely hilarious is if England counter-naval invaded and went after Rosyth. I think that might be the type of thing I might actually try to do. Because if I can't break through their front line, going after the back line is fine. And because I can see that they're not, for example, guarding Dundee, that's an alarm bell to me as Britain going, that might be an opportunity because they don't know how to defend ports against naval invasions. Or they don't know how to defend ports in order to promote naval invasions. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, we are seeing a lot of... Oh no, these are escorts. These are the Union of Britain escorts. Did they sort out their escort fleets? No, they're still using... Yeah, they've added destroyers. So it looks like a bunch of these cruisers have already sunk and they're starting to add destroyers instead. Their main battle fleet is still at sea but no fuel, so not really going to be very effective. But then again, neither does Germany. So what is happening in France right now? So it looks like the main front line between France and Germany adequately guarded. I wouldn't say either side is contributing too many troops to that. Looks like the Italians are holding pretty nicely against the Austrians, and that's basically leaving Spain free to push down in actually across the Strait and into Morocco. Interesting move. Going to be putting some pressure on the Kingdom of France by doing that. But what's the Entente going to do? Oh, what an exciting opener. Oh, they've lost Dundee. And now they're attacking into Rosyth. This is exactly what I was talking about. So even if Germany was sending in reinforcements, they now couldn't do anything. And having a tank with that little strength, this naval invasion is over. Though they have just taken another naval base here in Lanark, or another port, which might let them in, but I think that they've just lost. Because they didn't have that cordon set up properly. And Rosyth has just lost because that tank's retreating. Tanks don't have the organisation to hold. What a shame. What a great opener by the Germans there, though. They came in swinging. And that's going to be leaving Britain really reeling, because they're going to now feel like they need to leave more troops behind to defend against naval invasions like that. But a good recovery. A very good recovery. Although I think that's more down to the CNT FAI and the French units that have arrived than necessarily the Union of Britain's effects. Although they haven't learned. They're still only guarding their ports. I mean, admittedly, they probably haven't had time to reorganise their forces because they've been a bit worried about this. And nope, Lanark's fallen. So that's it. Germany's naval invasion has ended. What did Germany lose? 386,000. Britain lost 160. So Germany came out of that much worse. And I dread to think just how much of Germany's build-up and lack of sending equipment and volunteers was just lost. Like any advantage that they may have had, gone. Meanwhile, death stacks, doom stacks. So inefficient. And that's why they had no fuel for so long. They still have no fuel. This is what happens. If you death stack your big fleets, you just run out of fuel like that. You want them spread out. Because they will automatically reinforce themselves. If they feel like they can't take a fight on their own, they'll send out more fleets. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, let's take a look how Italy is doing. These are German submarines still catching Union of Britain convoys. Let's actually just take another quick look. Sorry that I'm looking so much at the naval, it's just what interests me. Union of Britain is doing no escort duty? Nope, they're on convoy raiding. And that is the result. Union of Britain's out. They're dead. There's no recovering from that. They have no convoys, which means they can't import resources like oil. So the naval invasions will just keep on coming, and Britain's going to be 100% reliant on Lend-Lease and support from their allies. At this point, they are a bit of a lead anchor. And yeah, the Union of Britain's navy is it's dead. Like, with no oil, it's dead. I'm a bit surprised that Germany has let themselves run out, but I suspect that's just because they're having to spend so much more. They are importing a load of oil. They are consuming 4.6 thousand. They are gaining 2. So they've only got half of what they need. So Britain's intention was to have massive air power, and they're losing 5.9 thousand oil a day. But they're not going to be getting fuel because they can't import any because they have no convoys. And what convoys they do have are going to get sunk by the massive German submarine fleet. This is one of the reasons why intel is so important. Because what the Union of Britain should have been doing, and in fact they have been, is spying on Germany. This will tell you exactly their fleet composition. And as soon as you see this number starting to spike, you're like, huh, they're building a lot of submarines, eh? Should probably do something about that. And why there was no follow-up to the landings in Scotland, I have no idea. Like, that was Germany's invasion to lose, and they did, somehow. Like, where was Austria? Where was Bulgaria? Where was Germany? That's always the question, where was Germany? Such a fantastically executed naval invasion. It was phenomenal. But then where was the follow-up? Where was Sweden? I'm trying to remember all the people in the Reichspakt. Where was Ukraine? Ukraine was probably sending volunteers. We'll allow Ukraine. And there goes Morocco, which gives CNTFAI a big border against the Kingdom of France, which is not in the war yet, and the Entente's probably looking at this going, huh, okay. Also, while you're invading, you should set Union of Britain to no garrison so resistance does maximum damage to their own factories while they have it occupied. That's an interestingly subtle and incredibly good suggestion. Yeah, UOB Navy probably got pretty hard, plus the loss of equipment production due to lost factories temporarily. It's not a complete failure of an invasion. It was theirs to lose. They had 2 ports here. They could probably have got Newcastle, but they just didn't bring in any follow-ups. Like, they could have just kept on fighting this war, and Germany actually has transport protection, whereas the Union of Britain doesn't. So the submarines, and we know that Germany has a lot of submarines, could have been wreaking absolute havoc. What would I have done to stop submarines? Build destroyers with anti-submarine warfare modules and sonar. Loads and loads of them. Cheap ones. Don't need guns. Well, you need like level 1 gun, because I think all ships need a gun. No torpedoes. Maximum size engines. They're fast and they can respond to convoy attacks. But yeah, you just need a lot of them. So this is now effectively a 3-player game, or a 4-player game. Switzerland, Italy, France, and CNTFAI. Because I don't think Britain's going to do very much. Although Britain's intention all along was to do the air power, but if they have no oil, how are they going to do that? Are they receiving Lend-Lease oil? What exactly is their plan here? They're getting Lend-Lease from the Entente. They're getting loads of fuel from Australasia. They're getting guns from Ireland. They're getting convoys from Socialist Italy, and they're just going to get sunk straight away. Germany declared war on Egypt. That's actually a pretty good move. They've already taken the Ottoman Empire, now they can just expand further, and that's also going to allow them to secure Suez. And then the USA is also sending them a ton of oil. So the Entente is currently trying to prop up the Third Internationale. Alright.